Hello, everyone. I'm Nolan Myers, CEO of Double GDP. We're building an end-to-end platform for planned communities to connect with residents, accelerate growth, and deliver responsive public services. I'm here today bringing you a sprint update for April 27th, 2022. As always, I'll go through what we aimed to accomplish in the last sprint, how we did against those goals, and what we want to do in the next sprint. This last sprint is coming hot off the heels of shifting our focus or broadening our focus to planned communities from specifically new cities. And we want to do some market research, especially in the US market. We were also improving forms and workflows, deploying lead management, and transitioning our residency programs at Enquashi. First, let me talk about the research. So much great stuff here. I think at a high level, what we've learned is that new cities are really just a special case of planned communities. All of the new cities that we're working with are in fact planned communities, but there's a much broader market of planned communities that don't bill themselves as cities. At the large end, they probably look a lot like cities, and much smaller ones look more like residential communities, but may have amenities of cities or take care of some of the same responsibilities that a city would have. So it's nice to learn that actually there is a lot of alignment between the market that we were in and the market that we've entered. And we'll see that. I'll talk about that a little bit in some of the things that we've learned in the interviews. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the market and what we've learned there. We've learned that there are over 9,000 large-scale communities in the U.S., and the estimates that we have are that the software market for that is a $1 billion market there. I actually think there's a lot more opportunity than just that. If this is just selling productivity software to that market, I think there's a lot of other things that can be there. So I actually think the market opportunity might be larger than that, and I think that's borne out by the number of competitors that we're seeing in that market as well. I also suspect that there's a booming market in Africa for this. The macro trends are very good for seeing a lot of people in Africa moving into planned communities, and a lot of people from the diaspora of Africa wanting to move back home. I don't have much good data on that, so there's some intuition and anecdote that's going into that right now. But we'll talk about that more in the next couple of sprints. Our focus right now has been to learn about the market in the US specifically. We, of course, have found many competitors, both some large and some small. We'll talk more about that later, and some associations that are geared towards this industry, that helps professionals in this industry learn how to do their jobs better, but also provide marketing channels and ways that, as a software vendor, that we would be able to connect with potential buyers. From the research, we also learned that cybersecurity and cross-platform integration are two of the biggest themes that people are thinking about. We've also had 2 interviews with people who run communities. So that has been really, really exciting. And what I have here are the things that we have heard unprompted in those interviews, the things that they brought up as things that are important. And was very pleasantly surprised that there's actually a tremendous amount of overlap between the things that they're talking about that are important to them and things that we already have put a lot of investment in the product. So there's, of course, some new things and some things that we have in the product that we didn't hear in these interviews. But overall, I'd say that it's one of a lot of alignment. So things that we heard are people want an all-in-one platform. It is very cumbersome to try to integrate across all of the different pieces of software. And in fact, the way they think about integration is largely by taking information out into an Excel sheet and then importing it into another. So all-in-one platform was something that unprompted people talked about as being valuable. Mobile first, also very important. People talked about being on the go and wanting access to information wherever they are, not only for themselves, but for their community members and prospective buyers as well. We heard about payments and invoices, sales process and CRM, construction review and approval, incident reporting and maintenance requests, community safety and health. We have safety in the gate access, and health not so much, but people talked about how much COVID has changed their responsibilities to their communities and therefore their jobs. So I think there's some interesting things there. Communications like news and messaging, maps of the homes, HOA approval process, and document storage. I've color-coded these on the right based on sort of where I think we have where the product is the most mature. Yellow means I think that there are some things that we need to work on before we could sort of really claim to have a lot of coverage there. But all of the things in yellow are also things that we have features around. I think just not a full set based on what we heard in the interviews. But all in all, I would say the research has been very gratifying, and it's only 2 people so far, so I'd take everything with a grain of salt. But really is showing that the product that we have, I think there really is a market to be able to sell that, both in the U.S. and in Africa. And I think we have our first sales pipeline. We've identified 260 prospective communities. Most of these are in Africa, some in Latin America as well. We've contacted 100 of them and heard back from 12 of them. And then of those, we have 3 that are still in the sort of the first stage or have had 1 sales meeting, and 4 that are in negotiation where we're actually talking about moving forward to a contract. So that's very exciting progress in the last 2 weeks, and hopefully we will learn a lot more in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully even get some deals moving soon. When we look at what we've invested in the product, we've also made some great enhancements this sprint, largely around the forms and workflows. So one of the big things is being able to summarize how many comments are outstanding in one of the processes, and giving more information on this overview of the process side, so that an administrator who is monitoring an approvals process or a construction review process has more information at their fingertips. We improved the guard screen a little bit to make that a little bit easier to use, and a little bit on the CRM management as well, where you can now record event attendance or meetings that have been taking place. In the next sprint, we're going to do more US market research. We want to have about 10 conversations. We've had 2 of those so far. And we've done a lot of work on pricing that we haven't rolled out yet, but we would like to talk about pricing soon. More work on the forms and workflows, UI and the gate view and campaigns, and sorry, there's a mistake here. The transition of the programs for the Hackers in Residence is something that is meant for next sprint. I had it on this sprint slide, but that is one of the things that we are planning to do in the next sprint. We've identified people at Nkwashi to take over the administration of those programs. So we're very proud of those and want those to succeed. We also want to bring our focus to sales and developing of new communities. And we hope to deploy the lead management software. I think the software will be ready, and then in the sprint after that. Software will be ready in the next sprint, and then the one after that will be focusing on the deployment of that and getting that in use by our customer. That's it for this sprint. Thank you very much, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.